So let's start with a very small story and we should be good to go with. I am Jeff Bezos, CEO of this e-commerce site called as Amazon. Okay. So my name is Jeff Bezos and I'm the CEO of this site called as Amazon, and you guys are my technical guys. As of today, our organization looks like this. As of today, our organization looks like this. We have our e-commerce site and that runs out of Oracle. We have our inventory and that runs out of MySQL. So life is all good. Everything is nice. Now, if I want to answer a question, how many iPhones should we order next month? Very simple stuff. How many iPhones should we order next month? Now to do that, a typical way of doing things would be you loading this whole thing to a warehouse, be a Teradata, and then you basically do your reporting. That's where you have tools like Tableau, ClickView, and I'm sure you guys are already aware of this enterprise piece. So all your data gets generated, you load in a warehouse, reporting is done. Life is simple. There is only one problem. The real problem in this whole setup is that this works very well for, let's say, 2000 or 2005. Today, we are in 2017 now. And our questions are not that simple because the amount of data that we are looking is very, very huge. Let's take a simple example. If I was to change a question and say, let's take a simple example that as a CEO, I want to know how many people bought iPhone, they really loved the phone, but they hated the delivery. And instead of talking to us, they went on Twitter and they basically vented out the frustration. Let's take a simple example. And some of the other questions related to, data which is fairly big. Now, first thing is that data which is coming from sources like Twitter and maybe a lot of other sources like your sensors, your network logs, your firewalls, data that's getting generated is really, really huge, and it's not going to fit into your traditional database-based systems. Okay, so that's where you decide to bring in another system, and the system is called as Hadoop. Now think of Hadoop as, think of it in a very crude way as a big data warehouse. It can take data from anywhere, can easily host a single master and theoretically tens of thousands of nodes. Can give you two services, store and process. So this guy can get data from here, plus it can get data from other sources like social, networks, firewalls, structured, unstructured, blah, put a blah, and go ahead, put one more blah. Can be any other source. And this guy can actually get data from here also. Now, this guy can let you store the data and let you process the data. Okay, let's let you store and process the entire thing. So think of Hadoop as somebody who complements your warehouse typically to store a lot of data, and then you can store and process. Now, after you store and process the data, whatever final processing is done, you can load that final thing in a warehouse, and that's what is a lot of times called as analytics. And you are free to directly connect a reporting tool also. That is also possible. That's also absolutely possible. So it's direct connectivity is also there. So based on your pattern, you can choose what you really want to do. That's the idea of Hadoop. Okay. So you put all your data at one place, cheap storage, and you can have store and process, and whatever comes out, you can load it to a warehouse, or you can directly connect reporting tools and do it. There's one more use case where whatever you learn inside, if you load it back to Oracle, man, this becomes recommendation engine. This becomes recommendation engine. Think of it this way. From all the sources that we have got our data, we learn that 85% of people buying iPhone buy a screen guard, and 81% people, they buy a back cover, and let's say some other information. Now once we learn that within Hadoop, we load it to Oracle, and when the next customer who comes to our e-commerce site, we can always show them that people who bought iPhone also bought screen guard, back cover, blah blah blah. That is also possible. So think of Hadoop as a big data store. It can store the data, can process the data, and then you can use the data the way you like.